Welcome to the Deep Dive. Our mission, as always, is to cut through the noise, get you the core knowledge you need, and today we're taking on a real modern phenomenon. James Corden.
Mm-hmm.
He really is the definition of a multi-hyphenate actor, comedian, writer, producer, singer, TV host. The list goes on.
It really does.
And the sources we've looked at, they really push us to examine not just his success, but also, the huge pressure and the very mixed reactions that come with that kind of global fame.
Yeah, what's fascinating right off the bat is how Corden seems to exist in like two totally separate worlds of fame.
Totally.
If you're in the UK, you know him primarily as the co-creator and star of Gavin, Stacey, hugely beloved character-driven sitcom.
A classic.
Right. But if you're pretty much anywhere else, you know him as the host of The Late Late Show, the guy who defined that whole viral, high-production era of American late-night TV.
It's almost like two different people, professionally speaking.
Exactly. And trying to reconcile those two identities, well, that's why we need this deep dive, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. So our task today is really to unpack that kind of dizzying transition. We need to explore how he went from British regional theater and TV comedy to, transatlantic stardom, looking at the huge highs, the Tonys, the Emmys, all of that, but also facing up to the significant critical lows and the public incidents that became part of his story, too. It's all there in the source material.
Definitely. So to start, let's lay down the basics. James Kimberly Corden, born in Hillingdon, London, 1978. Grew up in Hazelmere, Buckinghamshire. And his background is interesting, not really showbiz at all.
Right.
His dad was a musician in the Royal Air Force Band, later sold Christian books and Bibles. His mom was a social worker, pretty grounded middle-class upbringing.
Yeah, not the usual path into performance, perhaps. And that early recognition in the UK, it really says something, doesn't it? Getting an OBE in the 2015 New Year Honors.
Mm-hmm. For services to drama.
That's serious institutional recognition back home. It shows they saw him as more than just a celebrity, right? Or a real contributor to British art.
Absolutely. It's a significant honor.
Okay, so let's track this career right back to the start. The UK scene, the foundations, say 1996 to 2006.
Right. The very first steps are pretty humble, actually. His first stage appearance, age 18, 1996, just one line in the musical Martin Gare.
Just getting a foot in the door.
Exactly. And his first TV reporter gig, kind of funny, was on the BBC's Good Morning with Ann and Nick, interviewing Meatloaf.
Meatloaf, wow. An early lesson in handling celebrities, I guess.
You could say that. And those early steps quickly built into, solid UK TV work, bits in Boys Unlimited in 99, a small part in Hollyoaks.
Oh, yeah, Hollyoaks.
And then a decent role in Teachers from 2001 to 2003.
But the real foundational TV work, the sources point to Fat Friends, right?
Yeah.
Playing Jamie Reimer from 2000 to 2005.
Yes, that was key. Not just a guest spot, but 5 years of sustained character work. It was about people in a slimming group, so lots of focus on vulnerability, body image.
And that got him noticed early on.
It did. He got a nomination for a Royal Television Society Award in 2000 for Network Newcomer on Screen. It put him on the map as this reliable, relatable actor.
Okay, so TV actor established, but then comes this huge ensemble theater success that really changes things. We're talking The History Boys.
Alan Bennett's play, yeah. This was massive. Debuted in 2004, and it was like this multi-year acting academy for him. He played Timms alongside a whole cast of future stars like Dominic Cooper.
And the key thing the sources stress is the international scope of it.
Absolutely. He wasn't just in London. He went with the production to Broadway, Sydney, Wellington, Hong Kong. That's a huge commitment.
Wow.
And then, of course, he was in the 2006 film adaptation, too. So this proves his early career was really built on serious, acclaimed, collaborative stage work.
It really sets up that duality we need to track, doesn't it? Corden, the serious stage actor, versus Corden, the, viral TV guy.
Exactly. And that international exposure with the History Boys, that was like a test run for America, really.
It showed he could handle Broadway.
Mm-hmm. Which leads us straight into part two, the breakthrough and that big theatrical pivot, roughly 2007 to 2014.
Right. This is the Gavin and Stacey era, the thing that just changed everything for him in the UK.
Totally. And it came from collaboration. From 2007 to 2010, he didn't just star in it. He co-created and co-wrote it with Ruth Jones.
Playing Smithy, an iconic character.
Absolutely. And the show just hit this perfect balance of very specific British humor and real emotional depth.
And the awards came thick and fast. Corden himself won a BAFTA for Best Male Comedy Performance in 2008.
And the show won the Audience Award BAFTA that year, too. It wasn't just a hit. It was critically loved.
Yeah.
And its legacy is just huge.
Yeah.
Think about that 2019 Christmas special. Years after it finished, it got the highest Christmas Day viewing figures in the UK for over a decade.
Incredible. That shows a real cultural connection, doesn't it? It's part of the fabric over there.
It really is.
Now, something often overlooked from this time, but it kind of hints at his U.S. future, is that musical thing he did.
Oh yeah, the single with Dizzy Rascal, Shout.
#1 in the UK in 2010. It showed early on he could blend celebrity, comedy, music, and make it work commercially.
That's a good point. But here's where the story gets a bit more complicated. The sources talk about a checkered period professionally. Even while Gavin and Stacey was massive, his other projects weren't quite landing.
Right, it's weird, isn't it? Straight after BAFTA success, he has this sketch show, Horn and Corden, with Matthew Horn.
Yeah, 2009. Tried to build on their chemistry, but it only lasted one series and got, well, hammered by the critics.
Ouch.
Classic case, really. Trying to take character chemistry and make it work in a broader sketch format, it just didn't connect.
But what's interesting is what Corden said afterward.
Yeah, he was quite candid. Admitted the absolute truth is, I wasn't good enough. Owned the failure. That vulnerability, it pops up again later, doesn't it?
It does. And then there was the film Low Point, too, Lesbian Vampire Killers.
Oh, dear. Yeah, 2009 again. Critical and commercial flop. Definitely didn't help his film career at that point.
So it suggests maybe he was brilliant as a co-writer and ensemble player, but those early attempts at being the main solo comedy star, maybe a bit premature.
Seems that way. But during this time, he was building another crucial skill, hosting.
Yes, A League of Their Own.
Right, the Sky One comedy sports panel show. Hosted that from 2010 right up to 2019. That requires quick wit, improv, good training.
And he hosted the Brit Awards, too, multiple times.
Yeah, 2009, 2011, 2014, handling big, live, celeb-packed shows, building that hosting muscle.
So gaining hosting experience while maybe licking his wounds from the created setbacks. But the real game changer, the thing that pivoted him back towards America, wasn't TV, it was the stage again. One man, two governors.
Oh, this was a phenomenon, based on an old Italian comedy, but just a masterclass in physical comedy, improv, talking straight to the audience. Corden is Francis Henschel, starting June 2011.
And the reviews were ecstatic.
Universal acclaim. The Guardian called it a triumph. One of the funniest productions in the National's history. High praise indeed.
That sounds like Corden firing on all cylinders, totally commanding the stage.
Absolutely. And when that production transferred to Broadway in 2012, that was the launch pad. That was the moment he went from British sitcom guy to serious international contender.
The Tony Award sealed it. Best performance by a leading actor in a play.
Exactly. Winning a major American award for proper stage acting. It just completely redefined his profile overnight. Suddenly, he wasn't just Smithy. He was a Tony winner.
And that led directly to Hollywood film roles, didn't it? Specifically musicals.
Yep. He got cast as the baker in Disney's film Sondheim's Into the Woods in 2014. That really cemented his transatlantic identity. Hollywood saw he could act, sing, hold the screen.
And even with all that going on, he was still writing back home, The Wrong Man's.
Right. Co-created, wrote, and starred in that BBC Two Hulu comedy thriller from 2013-2014. It shows that even as his star was rising globally, he still valued that deep, collaborative, creative work.
So that perfect storm stage triumph, high-profile film role, proven hosting skills. It was like the ultimate audition tape for what came next.
Precisely. Which brings us to part 3, The Late Late Show and Global Stardom, 2015 to 2023.
Taking over from Craig Ferguson at CBS in March 2015, a massive move, relocating his family to L.A.
Huge. And he's joked since then about thinking he might get fired in 6 months. You can tell he knew translating British fame to U.S. late night was a massive challenge.
And the sources give us a glimpse into the mindset needed for that 5 nights a week grind. He told David Tennant on his podcast
Oh, yeah, I remember this.
that he hoped the on-screen persona was a close strain to his real self, someone trying to find joy. But he was also really honest, saying you're not ever really being yourself on screen like that.
That's such a critical point. It confirms the cheerful, spontaneous host persona is, a performance, a carefully calibrated one designed to connect with guests and a huge American audience.
And that persona definitely helped his signature segments take off.
Oh, absolutely. Especially the biggest one, the one that completely changed late-night economics by generating views way beyond the TV broadcast.
Yeah.
Carpool Karaoke.
And the origin is key, isn't it? It wasn't invented for CBS.
No. It started as a Red-Nosed Day sketch for Comic Relief back in 2011 with George Michael. That charity, low-stakes, singing-in-a-car vibe was perfect.
Intimate.
Intimate.
So when he brought it to the Late Late Show, it just exploded. Perfect viral content.
Completely. That one segment with Adele, January 2016.
Yeah.
The sources confirm it was the biggest YouTube viral video of the entire year.
Yeah.
Just staggering for a late-night TV clip.
Wow.
And the list of people who did it just shows the power of the idea, giving these huge stars a relaxed, fun setting, singing their own songs. He got access to people who rarely did traditional interviews.
Like who? The sources mentioned.
Sir Elton John, Stevie Wonder, Mariah Carey, Madonna, J-Lo, Harry Styles, Katy Perry. I mean, megastars.
A segment got so big it spun off into its own show on Apple TV plus later.
Carpool Karaoke,
Yeah.
this series, yeah.
Yeah.
But the absolute peak, critically speaking, was that special with Paul McCartney.
Ah, when Corden met McCartney, live from Liverpool, that was something else.
It really was. More than just a clip. It was like a 70-minute documentary, music, biography, nostalgia.
Yeah.
It deservedly won the Primetime Emmy for Outstanding Variety Special in 2019.
And the details made it so special. They didn't just sing Beatles songs in the car.
No, they visited McCartney's childhood home, sang Penny Lane on Penny Lane.
And they signed the street sign.
They did. It felt like a genuine, really moving pilgrimage. Unforgettable TV.
And all this success led to him hosting everything, didn't it? Tonys, Grammys.
Yep. Hosted the Tonys twice, 2016, 2019, played to his theater roots. Hosted the Grammys twice, 2017, 2018, capitalizing on those Carpool Karaoke music connections.
And the awards piled up for him personally, too.
Oh, yeah. Over the 8 years, 29 Primetime Emmy nominations, won 12 in total for The Late Late Show and Carpool Karaoke, plus that BAFTA Britannia Award for British Artist of the Year back in 2015. Right as he started in the U.S.
So that period, 2015 to 2023, it was just intense. High volume, high visibility, constantly producing content. He was everywhere.
Absolutely everywhere. But that level of exposure inevitably leads to intense scrutiny and some pretty significant critical failures, which brings us to part 4, critical reception and the public incidents.
Right. This is where the narrative takes a turn. If the stage and late night were mostly triumphs, the sources are pretty clear that his film roles during this time, well, they became a real problem critically.
Let's start with the most notorious one, Cats, 2019.
Oh, boy.
The film itself got panned for the interesting visual effects. But Corden's performance as Bustopher Jones was singled out. He got the Razzie for Worst Supporting Actor.
And didn't Andrew Lloyd Webber say something?
He did. The composer himself openly criticized the performance, said he begged for it to be cut. You can't get much harsher feedback than that.
Wow. Okay. But maybe even more complex was the reaction to his role in The Prom in 2020.
Yeah, this one had layers. He played Barry Glickman, a gay man. Now, the sources note he got a Golden Globe nomination for it.
Right. Best actor in a musical or comedy.
But the performance drew widespread criticism, especially from film critics and the LGBTQ community.
And the criticism was about?
The feeling was that it relied on broad, kind of offensive stereotypes of gay white men. That it was caricature rather than character, which felt really off in a film trying to celebrate that community.
Vanity Fair had that brutal line.
One of the worst performances of the 21st century. It suggested he'd lost the subtlety he had in History Boys or Gavin and Stacey.
That's a really interesting insight. Maybe that big, high-energy host persona just didn't translate well into nuanced film acting. It became caricature.
It seems plausible. And that sort of misstep arguably continued with Cinderella in 2021, which he produced and starred in as one of the mice James.
What was the issue there?
The criticism was more about the film's overall tone. The Independent called it a hashtag girl-boss fairy tale only a voracious capitalist could love, kind of suggesting it felt corporate and hollow, prioritizing celebrity over story.
So the critique wasn't just film roles. Even bits on his own show came under fire. Spill your guts or fill your guts.
Right. That segment got called out in 2021 for being, well, culturally insensitive, maybe even racist, using foods like balut or chicken feet as things guests found disgusting and had to eat to avoid awkward questions.
Yeah, I remember the backlash.
Critics argued it played into harmful stereotypes and food shaming. To his credit, Corden did respond. He acknowledged the criticism and agreed to change the foods used in the segment.
Okay, so all this intense public focus films, TV segments, it eventually spilled over into his personal behavior too, didn't it? That restaurant incident in 2022.
Yes, Balthazar in New York. The owner, Keith McNally, publicly banned him temporarily. Said Corden had been abusive and extremely nasty to staff over a mistake with his wife's order.
Not a good look.
No, It showed maybe the pressure getting to him. The ban was lifted pretty quickly, but only after Corden apologized privately and then publicly on his show. He admitted he'd been ungracious.
It really highlights how tough it must be living under that constant spotlight for 8 years straight.
Absolutely. And maybe that whole accumulation, the film criticism, the segment issues, the public incident, maybe it all fed into his next big move.
Which was leaving the show.
Exactly. April 2022, he announced he'd be leaving The Late Late Show in 2023. Wrapping up that 8-year run, seemed like a natural time to step away from that high-pressure, high-output role.
So, with the late-night chapter closed, what's next? Let's get into part 5. Looking forward, post-2023 in his personal life, what's the focus now he's out of the celebrity machine?
Well, the sources show a very clear, very deliberate pivot back to his roots, back to the stage, back to long-form writing. It doesn't feel like a retreat, more like a strategic return.
He saw that straight away with his return to the London stage, right?
Yep. Summer 2024, June to August, he starred in a new political drama, The Constituent, at the Old Vic. That serious, demanding, non-musical drama.
And he's got another big stage role lined up.
He does. He's set to star in Art on Broadway in 2025, another prestigious play. Choosing these shows really signals a preference for character work over, say, big film spectacles.
And the big one for UK fans, the return of Gavin and Stacey.
The final episode.
Yeah.
He and Ruth Jones wrote it, starred in it, scheduled for Christmas Day 2024 on BBC One, 17 years after it first started.
That feels hugely significant. A return to that co-creation, that character focus, the thing that launched him initially.
It really does. It emphasizes collaboration over hosting, and his upcoming film work seems lower key too, mostly voice acting, like in the Smurfs movie for 2025. Less scrutiny than live-action musicals.
Okay, and quickly on his personal life, just to ground him outside the fame. Married to Julia Carey since 2012, 3 kids.
And a nice connection back to his earlier days. He met his wife through Dominic Cooper, his old flatmate and History Boys co-star.
Ah, brings it full circle.
Kind of does.
Yeah.
He's also a big football fan, supports West Ham United. And interestingly, he's part of the ownership group for Angel City FC, the women's football club in L.A. Shows an investment in U.S. culture beyond just Hollywood.
And we should mention his actions during the pandemic, too.
Good point. Paying the salaries of furloughed Late Late Show staff himself. Launching that big fundraiser with the NBA for Feed the Children. Shows a sense of responsibility that came with that U.S. platform.
And finally, his influences. Who shaped his comedy?
It's a mix, according to the sources.
Yeah.
British hosts like Graham Norton, Chris Evans, Jonathan Ross, but also the American late-night legends, Conan O'Brien, David Letterman, Stephen Colbert. You can see that blend in his show, can't you? The theatrical bits meet the big American production values.
Definitely. So, okay, let's try and wrap this up. When you look at the whole career, it's quite a ride.
It really is.
From dedicated British stage actor to co-creating this beloved sitcom, then that tricky patch, followed by the huge Tony win, and then boom, U.S. late-night host, global viral star.
While simultaneously taking some serious critical hits for his movies, the sheer range and volume of work, acting, writing, singing, hosting across continents is kind of staggering, really.
For almost a decade, he was just ubiquitous, wasn't he? Nightly TV, YouTube dominance, hosting all the awards, just everywhere.
He absolutely defines success by being everywhere. But now, post-Late Late Show, you see this really interesting, deliberate shift back to British theater, back to writing Gavin and Stacey.
Which leaves us with the big question for you, the listener, to mull over. After defining this massive global phase by being constantly visible, constantly accessible, is this next phase going to be about something else?
Yeah, like finding a different kind of creative satisfaction. Maybe something more focused, more demanding in terms of craft, like the stage or the writer's room.
What does it mean when a global star steps back from that constant exposure and chooses the collaborative, detailed work that started it all? Something to think about as we see what he does in 2024 and 2025.